Little flare, center field, diving, catching, out!
5-4-3 around the horn from the seat.
And he hits a high drive to deep left field, down towards the pole. That ball is up and it is gone!
Welcome, everyone. Am I on? Is this thing on? Hey, talk to the folks in the back there. Welcome to the Weekend Sports Update Show, sponsored by UBCenter Freebirds Baseball. That's freebirdsbaseball.com. The team, last year they were the High Wheelers. This year they're the Freebirds, and we got baseball starting, Freebirds Baseball starting, was it the last part of May?
May, so it's not that far away.
It isn't.
I saw one of the ladies that greet you when you come in from last year.
Yeah.
And she said, I'm on the list to be hired. So, the only reason I bring that up is because Jackson is. Shapiro is doing all that part, but you can go to freebirdsbaseball.com. I think it's .com.
It is freebirdsbaseball.com.
And then you can find out all about that if you'd like to work out there. And there's all kinds of jobs available. Except the only job isn't available is yours.
Yeah.
Somebody took it.
Well, I did. So
for the 10th year? This could be your 10th year?
This will be my 10th year doing baseball. 10th season doing baseball over at Bryant Field for many different ball clubs, but whoever was playing ball there in the summer, I was calling it. So that's the 10th year. Yeah,
we're probably going to do we have a choice. There's two things we can do, folks, and you can contact us and let us know.
Pie in the face, that's one.
Huh?
Pie in the face.
Pie in the face would be no. Honestly, we can do some sort of celebration. Right? You know how they do that?
Sure.
Or we can roast the tar out of him.
Something tells me that the folks are going to be opting for the latter of those two.
They might want the roast.
Have the first pitch, but I'm not pitching. I'm actually in the dunk tank, and if it's a strike, that's the
for an entire game.
First pitch dunk tank.
Oh my gosh! I'm telling you, there's a John Fogerty's song, Center Field, and he's singing about baseball. And one of the things he says is the new mowed lawn. Yeah. There is something about the smell of, it's one of the baseball smells, the new mowed lawn and
nostalgia. So they say the sense of smell is most closely tied to memory. And I think, physiologically, it's because the smell centers of the brain are near the memory side. Whatever that, I'll leave that to the biologists. But
wow.
But when I smell a freshly mowed lawn, it reminds me of late August, mid to late August, trying out for soccer or for sports over at the high school, Yuba City High School, because that's. They were mowing the lawn, getting everything ready, and playing out there on the Bermuda grass and all itchy and everything. But
love it.
It does evoke the memories.
Well, that and all the smells of the great food that will be available over there at the Dugout Diner.
Oh, yeah. Harrison Shapiro, he's been telling us about the stuff that he's going to have there. Some things that they didn't have last year, they're going to bring back. I'm really looking forward to just a basic hot dog. They had hot dogs last year, but hot dogs, nachos. They said there's going to be popcorn this year. Looking forward to that.
I love popcorn.
Yeah. I mean, how do you go to a baseball game without popcorn? I think
peanuts. I wonder if they'll have peanuts.
I think he said there's going to be hamburgers again.
Oh, I love hamburgers.
Which is good.
Give it a choice: hot dog, hamburger. I'm going with a hamburger. Dogs, cats. I'm going with dogs. Cardinals. Any other team? I'm going with Cardinals. But.
I don't know of any food item that they sell that has anything to do with cats. They don't have like a hot dog and a cat burger. It's a hamburger for anything. It's pork.
That's called a pulled pork
sandwich.
And they had those.
You know, there's certain things you should never do when you're hungry. One is go shopping. You grocery shopping when you're hungry.
Yeah.
The other is come on a show when you're hungry, because the topic of conversation will always gravitate towards food.
Is that a guy thing?
It might be.
Because now I have to go.
Well, yeah, shortest show in history. We're 8 minutes in, and that'll be a wrap, folks. No, but we getting back to the Freebirds, the always looking, and if you are interested in being a host family, I'm looking at the requirements for host families. And you can find these requirements if you go to freebirdsbaseball.com, go to the general information tab, come down to be a host family. It's a great opportunity, really great experience to host at least one ball player. Sometimes you can host two ball players in your house. It's like adopting another family member. It's really low maintenance because they're on the road half the season. And really what they want is they need to have a bed with bathroom access, a key or garage opener for the house access, a place for them to park for the ball players that have cars, and then the last one, the most important, a warm and welcoming environment. So if you have that...
I can do most of them.
If you have that, what do you get in return? 2 season tickets per player that you host. That is the big one. And I remember last year seeing the season ticket holders come out that were hosting ball players. They were the greatest fans.
Yeah.
And you just build this connection with a ball player. So
well, and they may have only got 2 seasons tickets, but they'd bring their whole family, cousins, third cousin, twice removed, right? And they would cheer their players on. I am so looking forward to baseball.
Yeah, I'm looking, and like you said, look, today is what, March 21st. We are closer to the start of the season than we are to whatever New Year's party you went to.
Yeah.
And it feels like New Year's was just yesterday. So it's coming up. We're getting ready to go, and it's going to be awesome to get the season going. Once we start getting player signings, they got the tryouts. Once you get the player signings, we'll have some of the ball players come in here to be on the show, to be interviewed. We can find out what their background is and take things moving from there.
There's a reason why God doesn't let me control time.
I am all ears for this.
Well, because I just skip next month.
April Schmapril.
April, man. Who needs April, man? We're going right into May, and then I know it's 2 weeks till we hit
2 weeks till we hit baseball. And then, baseball, so the way they do it, if you look at the schedule, if it's the way it was last year, I think that it is. Every Monday is off. You have games Tuesday through Sunday. Monday is a travel day. And for the most part, it'll be a week of baseball here, and then they'll travel, be on the road for the following week, and they come back. I think there's a couple times where they're on the road for 2 weeks, and then they have a 2-week homestand. But that's kind of how they do things.
Yeah, and there are occasions where they go back-to-back weeks at Bryant Field. They did that last year, but the biggest part of this that I'm waiting to see the schedule is because instead of 2 California teams, we now have 4.
We have 4. And
so I don't know what that's going to do to the schedule overall, but if you think about it, if they're traveling within California instead of out to Colorado or, what was it, in Montana?
Yeah, they had Montana, Utah, Colorado, and then Idaho were the states. And the Chuckers, I think, won it all last year. I think they did. But their manager now is managing the ball club down in Long Beach, the Long Beach coast. And they did poach some of our players. Cuba Bess is down there. I think Wozniak is down there pitching for the coast. So we're going to have to, if you were watching, going out to the games this year, you're going to have to come out to heckle, all in good fun, though. It'll be great to see those guys again.
Yeah, it will be. The fans get connected with players, and then that gets them connected with the overall team.
Yep. And
we had such great ball players last year, but the difference here is, as much as I'd want them to stay, I want them to go on.
That's right.
Right? They had players that did go major, but they had players that went to the Savannah Bananas.
There were at least 2 ball players. They went to Savannah Balls, so they're playing for a team in that league.
Yeah.
That was who was it? Bobby Leday. Bobby Leday went. He's playing. And then who was the other guy that we got cut, and then he ended up going to play for the Chuckers.
Yes.
I'm pulling a blank on his name. But great folks. And I'm really happy for them. I mean, being able to get in there and play in the Banana Ball League and stuff. I think they're going to absolutely love it.
If you've never seen a video of the Banana Ball, it is listen, folks, they fill stadiums. Now, I'm telling you this for this reason. Because of the switch over to the Freebirds and a change in the way they want to make it more family friendly, they're not going to quit playing great baseball. They want to be the champions. These players are going to play. But they're going to do more fun things like the Banana League does. And I just think that's going to be I'm looking forward to that. We got somebody that's going to be handling the on-field games and that. They've already thought about crazy stuff. Yeah, that's another thing. If you get a chance to listen to that guy that put that Banana League together, he is one brilliant man.
He is. Kirkland Banks was the one I was thinking of. Kirkland Banks playing Banana Ball. So,
I wonder if there's any. They sell out stadiums.
Oh, they do. It's amazing. There was a guy playing. So Rodrigo Sanchez, who played 2 years for the Drakes, he pitched for the Drakes 2 years, and he played for the Texas Tailgaters in the Banana Ball League. And we had okay turnouts and stuff when the Drakes were here. We'd have anywhere from 100 to 500 people coming out for a game. Well, Sanchez is uploading video last year, all season, uploading videos of the places that he's playing. Sold out stadium, 65,000 people. That's a far cry from playing here at Bryant Field. But
yeah. I don't think we can hold 65,000.
I don't think so. I think that might be. I'm pretty certain the fire marshal would come in. And
people in boats out in Fischetti Cove, catching the game.
Fighting each other for a foul ball. I got the Bob Fischetti foul ball. It's all me.
So I want to talk a little bit about, and I know you're going to cover the scores on sports here local for our high school teams, but guys, we have got some phenomenal high school sports players. They're knocking it in the cheap seats in the Yuba Center area.
Oh yeah,
in a big way. I was talking to a young man. I had him on the show. He was on because he was in the Buckeye, and he is from Marysville. And what Todd had talked about the last show about how they wanted to they wanted to do better than the last team had done, and he said they did that.
Yeah,
that they surpassed it, and love it. Just love it.
Well, you talk about ball players that are just performing outstanding, and it's interesting because here we are in the Yuba Sutter area. If you just take boys baseball, we've got six teams. We got River Valley. Who do we got here? I'll go through these. We have Yuba City and River Valley. We have Sutter, Marysville, Wheatland, and Lyndhurst. And those four teams, or those 6 teams, play in 4 different leagues.
Yeah.
So Yuba City and River Valley are both in the Foothill Valley League for baseball. Sutter, by themselves with 7 other teams, is in the Golden Empire League baseball. The Delta League, Sierra Delta League, is where the Lyndhurst Pirates play, and the Marysville Ball Club, Marysville and Wheatland, play over in the Pioneer Valley League. And you talk about ball players that are getting it done. I mean, these are video game numbers. One of the ones that jumped off the page to me, over there in the Sierra Delta League, that's where Lyndhurst plays. Now, Lyndhurst is scuffling a little bit, I believe, in terms of the standings in the league that they're in. Let me pull up their team. Yeah. They're still looking for their first victory of the season. They're 0-9 overall, 0-6 in league play. But they got a guy on their ball club that is apparently, rumor has it, he has yet to not make contact with a pitch.
Wow.
I don't know. He probably has had a swing and miss. But Gabe Jara, he's played in 8 games. He's had 12 plate appearances, 11 at-bats, and he's hitting a paltry .727.
Wow.
I mean, I mean, 3 out of 4 pitches, 3 out of 4 times he's at bat, he's getting a hit.
Yeah.
And so he is leading the Sierra Delta League in stats. But you look at that Lyndhurst Ball Club, and this is where things can be deceiving because the team has yet to have their first win of the season. But if I look here in the top 30 players in the entire league, top 30 players, and they've got 5 kids that are in the top 30 in terms of batting average. Gabe Jara at 727, Sonny Daniel hitting 500, Miguel Silva is at 400, Emiliano Zermeno is at 312, and Sergio Castro is hitting 286. So I mean, they can hit. You look over at the pitching, and they are giving up some runs. So pitching and defense are giving up runs. At the end of the day, you have to put more on the board than the other ball club, and they have yet to do that. But it certainly appears to have the offensive firepower to do that.
Yeah.
So Lyndhurst over there in the Sierra Delta League, they're looking to get it done. It just hasn't cooperated with the other folks. This last week, what they do. Last week was an interesting week for baseball because it was like each team had a home and away. Some people had a home, away, and a home, but they were all against the same opponents. So last week they played Golden Sierra from Garden Valley, California, and they lost both those games. The first one was at Golden Sierra. They lost it 19-9, and then Golden Sierra came over to Lyndhurst, and Lyndhurst lost that one 18-6. So tough losses for them, but they've got the ball players there to produce the offense, so they're working on it.
You can tell they're hitting, right? So they're putting numbers on the board.
Yep.
But their defense.
Defense and pitching.
They're putting numbers against them. So,
yep.
So get that pitching staff. I will volunteer if they need me.
Yeah, there might be an age limit.
I don't think
we'd
I'm
both
getting
be
a
out.
call right.
You're thinking you
It's too late. I went pro, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's jump over to the Foothill Valley League. That's where Yuba City and River Valley play. Our buddy Rob McMahon's out there coaching River Valley, and the ball clubs there. Turning to the standings, Yuba City. Now they won it all last year, and this year they're facing a daunting challenge to try to repeat. But the season is still young. Yuba City is 1-2 in league play. They're 1-7 overall. They're in 6th place. River Valley is in 7th place. They're 1-5 in league play, 2-6 overall. So they are struggling. But again, if you look at the offensive numbers, over there at River Valley, Garen Dill knocking the cover off the ball. He's hitting .435 over there at River Valley, and he is, he's in first. He's leads the league in doubles. He's got 6 doubles. 23 at-bats, 10 hits overall. Brody Miller at Yuba City High School, he is also doing very well. He's hitting .400 on the year. Then you look at Gonzalo Tavares, Matthew Martin, Alfonso Lopez. Those are 3 players over there at River Valley, hitting .360, .333, and .313 respectively. And then and just rounding out the top 30 in the league. And the number of ball players that are playing for our ball clubs here is just astounding. Max Guth is hitting .280. Oscar Hull, .273. Wyatt Lane hitting .261. Tied for second in triples. And then you got Chris Gandhi hitting .240 and Ethan Rivera at .227. So they have the offensive firepower. It's just about getting the pitching to come along and get that done. And that's where Yuba City and River Valley stand in the Foothill Valley League. Last week, Yuba City, I think it was a tough week. Last week they played Roseville at Roseville, and they won that game 3-1. Then they went over to McClatchy. So last week the games were on the road for Yuba City. Both games they lost to McClatchy 5-0, and that's where things went for Yuba City High School. But turning over to River Valley had 3 games. This was a home at home. So they are home, away, away, home, and away. They were playing 12 Bridges. That's the newer high school over in Lincoln. If you're headed on 65, headed towards Roseville, 12 Bridges High School is just down the road. I mean, I say down the road, less than a quarter mile from Whitney High School. That's the stadium where they play at.
Yeah.
And so they played 12 Bridges last week on the 16th. They lost that game 13-2. Then they lost 20-8 at home against 12 Bridges, and they went back to 12 Bridges yesterday on the 20th and lost 14-3. So it's tough when a team has your number and then you play them three games in a row. You're trying to recover from that, but they're scuffling a little bit over there at River Valley with that opponent. So that's where things are there. Let's turn to the Golden Empire League. Now, the Golden Empire League is the league that Sutter High School plays in. Sutter High School had a good week last week. They had a really good week last week. They came in. Let's see. They came into the week last week 3-3 overall, and I believe they were. Let me see here. Let me check really quick. Who did I say? Sutter High School. Boom, boom, and yes. So they came in 3-3 overall, and I believe they were 0-3 in league play. And they played El Camino, that's in their league. They played at El Camino, then back at Sutter, then back at El Camino, and they won all three games.
Oh, that's
3-game win streak. It was 4-1, and that looks like it was the closest game of the three. 4-1 back on the 16th against El Camino. They came away with the win, and then El Camino came to Sutter, where Sutter laid it to them, 13-5. They won that game, and then Sutter was like, we found the magic number. We like scoring 13 runs. So they went back to Sacramento, scored 13, and only let El Camino score 2. So that gave them 3 wins, 3 league wins. So it moves them to 3-3 in the league. They're 6-3 overall. But if you look at the Golden Empire League, you talk about players that are in the top. Let's see here. Let's take the top 25. Top 25, Sutter High School has 6 players in the top 25 in terms of batting average. Aiden Zwizig, he is hitting .455. He's got 1 double on the season. Aiden Rorsch, so apparently Aiden is the name of the...
name for the hitters.
Aiden Rorsch hitting .444. He is tied for second in the league in doubles with 3. And then Cole Collison is hitting .423. So those guys we have 3 guys that are in the top 10. And Cole Collison has 2 home runs on the season. He's leading the league right now in home runs. Then you come down to Jace Cummins. He's 18th in the league at .333. Blake Boyer's tied with him at .333, and Blake Aggers at .320. And, there you got 6 ball players that are in the top 20 in terms of batting average in the league. It's pretty impressive.
Well, that would explain the high scoring.
Yes, that's how they're getting it done with the high scoring there, taking care of all of that. And then we come over and we'll finish up with this here to the Pioneer Valley League. That is where Marysville and Wheatland play respectively. And I don't want to pull favorites or say that I've got favorites here, but I will say for Marysville, and I went to Yuba City High School, so you think that's crosstown rival for me or cross river rival, but Marysville High School, given you see how far they went in basketball, right? They're boys basketball, and they did not miss a beat with baseball. Baseball right on the heels, and they are getting it done. In terms of baseball, they are second. They're in second place in the league. They're 2-0. Bear River is leading at 4-0. Marysville has a 7-4 record overall for in-league and out-of-league play. Bear River is really taking it to everybody. They are 4-0 in league play, 10-1 overall. They've got an 8-game winning streak that they're riding right now. But when you look at Marysville, let's see, this last week was the scuffling week for them. They played Rosemont on the 16th. They played Rosemont, then East Nicholas, then Venture Academy in Stockton, and they lost 2-1-1. So they lost to Rosemont, lost to East Nicholas, and then because they were so ticked off at losing those teams, poor Venture Academy comes in and they laid a whooping on them 10-0. You know, that'll get the lost taste out of your mouth, right? But you look at how they're doing in the league. Listen to these numbers. Well, I'll tell you. Let me tell you about Wheatland, and then we'll go overall numbers. Wheatland last week, they played at Oakmont, and then at Wheatland. They lost both those. Tough week for Wheatland. They lost it 13-0 at Oakmont, and then 11-0 back here. But they're still 7-3 overall, 2-2 in the league. But if you look at the Pioneer Valley League stat leaders, Wheatland High School's Chase Barton leads the league in a .531 batting average. I mean, just look at this. Listen to this stat line. Chase Barton, he's had 34 plate appearances. He's played in 10 games. He's hitting .536. He's tied for third in the league with 15 hits. He's tied for seventh with 3 doubles. I mean, he's just knocking the cover off the ball. But not a step behind him at .524 is Ezekiel Gutierrez. He's coming in hitting .524. He's got 24 plate appearances, 21 at-bats. He's got 11 hits on the season. And then Brody Maleka, he's hitting .462. He's tied for seventh in the league in hits with 12. He's got a double on the season. And so here we go, top 6 in the league, top 6 players in the league, 3 of them are playing for Wheatland.
Oh, yeah, that's good stuff.
3 of them are playing for Wheatland. Yeah. Then over here in Marysville, Chevy Zacharopoulos hitting .435 with a double on the season. Houston Rodney, listen to this, .385. He's playing. We're back to Wheatland now. This is their offensive dominance. Houston Rodney hitting .385. He's first in the league in doubles with 4. He's first in the league with triples with 2, and he's tied for second in the league with home runs at 1. You know that.
Yeah.
This is a kid who comes in the batter's box. You know the pitcher on the other team is looking at coach going, what do you want me to do? Pitch 4 out of the zone or just hit him with the baseball? Either way, he's gonna lay into us, right?
Yeah.
So you get Houston Rodney, Owen Del Porto, Israel Cortez, Jordan James, Cole Rolliter. Those ball players all for Wheatland in the top 30 offensively.
Wow.
And that's why Wheatland has a very potent ball club right now. Marysville, Austin Jacobs, Joe Harden, Julian Johnson, Antonio Torres. Those are ball players that are all in the top 40 in the league in terms of batting average. And, you know, not surprisingly, when you look back at the standings, you've got Wheatland tied for 4th. And I say tied. So Marysville's win percentage is 1,000. I'm just looking at league play. They're 2-0 in league play. Bear River is 4-0 in league play. So both those ball clubs have yet to lose. Wheatland and Oakmont are tied at 2-2. So Wheatland they're within 2 games in the loss column of being in first place. And like I said, the season is still young. So
yeah, it's actually pretty much the beginning of the season, but so I look at it like offensively. You know, you just talked about that these ball clubs have got hitters.
They do.
So now it just depends on how do it's pitching. If you can't shut the other team down, and look, I'm not going to tell you I don't like going to a ball game where they're all hitting.
Yeah,
right. That's exciting. But you got to be able to stop the other team, and that's where the pitching and obviously it's not just the pitching to strike them out. It's the pitchers that can force a guy into a double play, forcing them to hit ground balls, right? And all that has to do with your fielding, your defense for that. But man, the hitting's in. The hitting's there. That isn't the problem. That's not going to stop them.
Yeah, see that's the interesting thing when the different mentality of playing defense, being a pitcher versus being a hitter. When you're a hitter, there's situational hitting, but for the most part, you're trying to make solid contact with the ball. Barry Bonds used to say that. Barry Bonds said, "Look, my job when I get in the batter's box, you think I'm there to hit home runs. You think I'm there to... No, my job is to hit the ball hard, to make solid contact. I can succeed even though I might hit an out as long as I made solid contact with the ball. And that's his approach to that. And in that regard, you have one job when you're a hitter, and that is to make solid contact with the ball. Let's change that to the pitcher's mindset. Obviously, the pitcher's mindset is
to stop you.
The pitcher's mindset is to get outs, but there are various ways that you can do that. Greg Maddux was a wizard pitching on the mound. I don't think Maddux ever had a fastball go above 88 miles an hour, which if you were a pitching prospect now and said, yeah, the fastest I can throw the ball is 88 miles an hour, they're not going to give you a look. But Maddux understood timing, upsetting the timing of the hitter, keeping them off balance, knowing when to throw here, when to throw there. Interestingly enough, I saw an interview with Greg Maddux the other day. He said Barry Bonds was the easiest person to pitch to. He said, because you just threw 4 out of the zone and gave him first base. Easiest person. You didn't have to think about it. Just intentionally walk him and move on to the next guy. But the pitchers have to do that, and I think that sometimes, and I'm sure you have coaches that deal with this. You get a young pitcher comes up, and all they want to do is throw the ball fast. They think, I'm just going to blow it by him, blow the doors off him. I don't care how fast you can throw. There's always a guy that can catch up to it. Yeah. So learning to pitch to keep them off balance. How do you survive out there if you're out there and you just don't have your best stuff? You can't just say, Coach, I'm not going in. You got to figure out how to do it, right?
Yeah. I was watching, I forget what they call it now, the games where they put in all the players that are potentially going to get picked up.
Oh yeah, it's
they just had them. I watched about 4 games of it. But I'm telling you, the pitching speed is, I don't know what they're doing, but the pitching speed is over the top.
Yeah.
It's just getting faster and faster. And, I'm watching the guys trying to hit this stuff, and it's like, I just can't imagine it. Anything 90 miles an hour, I don't care who you are.
Yeah.
You're going to struggle with that if the guy's got anything on that ball. I mean anything. Unless it's coming straight across the plate. 90 miles an hour, if it's got any movement, you're going to struggle.
I saw a spring training game or a clip from a spring training game the other day, and it was this young kid. He's up there, left-handed batter, and this new pitcher who's trying to make the ball club gets in there, and the first pitch that he sees, and this is like middle inning stuff, the first pitch that he sees from this pitcher is 102 miles an hour.
Yeah.
He just looks back at him with this look like, what the heck, dude? I'm trying to make this ball club. I thought you were going to serve me up something that we could. But
no, not happening.
But yeah, you got that speed. But again, no matter how fast you can pitch it, you get up to the big leagues, there are people that can hit it.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm always amazed. Years ago, I read the story of Ted Williams, who was, obviously a phenomenal ball player.
Yeah.
But they said there was something about his eyesight. I don't care what you threw him. He could literally see the rotation of the ball. You have eyesight that good. That's a guy that's tough to pitch around. And, we would think, oh, well, it's not going to happen again. That was an oddity, right? It's not an oddity. Not anymore. Baseball, football, basketball. The players are just getting better and better and better. They talk about injuries in football because these guys are getting bigger and bigger and stronger. And I don't suspect baseball's going to be different. I mean, we're going to have guys pitching 105 on a regular basis. It's like, it's just really great. And the athleticism, I don't know if you ever watched the play of the week or whatever. I watch these guys make plays that you would swear that, oh, that's AI.
Yeah, exactly.
Nobody can do that. And it's like, no, they're doing it.
Well, I was watching just over the we talk about. I've been calling games for 10 years, and I remember this would have been back in, I want to say 2020. There was a guy playing here named Will Bermudez. He ended up playing for UC Irvine after he was done with his junior college stuff, and then I think he's playing in one of the independent baseball leagues. I was hoping he'd sign up here, but so one of my favorite ball players, just played the game the right way. Never talked back to the umpire. Always shook his hand, did stuff. But I was watching him. Just a typical scenario. Middle innings, they bring in a relief pitcher. and he's in the on-deck circle. They bring in the relief pitcher. They give him his warm-up tosses. And while all the other ball players are standing around talking to each other, waiting to go hit, his eyes are laser-focused on the pitcher. And I'm like, okay, so what are you looking for when you see that? And he says, the pitcher gives a sign to the catcher about the warm-up pitch he's about ready to toss. So, like, if he flops his glove over like this, it means it's going to be a curveball. If he moves his glove to the side, it's a slider. If he puts his glove out like that, it's going to be a fastball. So I look to see what sign the pitcher gives the catcher to say, this is the next warm-up toss I'm going to throw. And then I'm looking to see how he changes his delivery based upon the toss.
Yeah.
So if he's throwing a curveball, where's his arm slot? Where is the release point for that baseball? And I can see that, so that now when I'm in the batter's box and I see him start a delivery, if he's tipped it, I can see the arm slot, and I know the pitch that's coming before it leaves his hand. And not surprisingly, Will Bermudez routinely hit over 300.
Yeah.
And it was a hustle ball player and had a great career down at UC Irvine. And just those are the little things that ball players do to get an edge, because they can't all pick up the rotation. But anything that I can do, and it's important. Like for Ted Williams, it's important to pick up the rotation. I don't know if you've seen these, but they will do these overlays of a pitcher that has two pitches. One's a slider and the other is a fastball, right? Same arm slot from the pitcher. A good pitcher will have the same arm slot, but when that ball is coming in, it's halfway to the plate before it starts its break as a slider versus a fastball going straight. And that's not enough reaction time if you're just waiting for the break of the ball to decide to swing. But if you can see, based upon the pattern that the ball is making when it spins, what it is, now I don't need to wait for it to break to know it's a fastball, or to know it's a slider. I can just let it go, versus I don't see that pattern. I'm swinging away. That ball is not going to move. It's a fastball. And so, ball players are able to pick that kind of stuff up. It's pretty amazing to see how they do it.
Not me. I can't see that.
I can't see either. There's a reason I'm sitting here talking about it versus actually doing it.
So I just want to say this about the upcoming games with the Freebirds. Last year, as the High Wheelers, I've told the story of being down there behind home plate and happened to be there for that first pitch, and I went, son of a gun. I mean, it hit the glove, and I was like, that was 90. That was 90 or better. And then you and I were up in the booth, and I don't know if you remember this, but we're watching stuff, and it was some play out in the outfield, and the play, all of a sudden you knew that's pro ball. What the guy had to do to catch the ball.
Yeah.
It was the guy that dove in the dirt. Mm-hmm. It's like that. Okay, this is going to be great baseball.
It is.
And I think that's what I want people to latch on to. I love baseball. I mean, I probably wouldn't go watch T-ball. As much as I love baseball, unless I was doing it for the humor of the whole thing when those kids do stuff. Yeah. But I love good baseball, and I'm telling you, folks, if you have not been out to the stadium with all the improvements, and there is a whole bunch more improvements coming this year, improvements in every area, cameras, everything. Massage recliners for the announcing crew.
That's an inside perk.
Yeah. But just to watch the level of play is my point. The hitting, the pitching, the fielding, incredible fielding. These guys are serious. They're not just, I'm going to go catch the ball. They want to make it. Right? They're in a place to where they could get picked up, and they play every game like it mattered.
Well, that's an interesting thing, because I don't know if you recall when we were interviewing Brett Wozniak last year. It was our first interview with him. And it's the first part of the season, and you ask the question, so what are your goals for the season? And you would expect, the first thing I expected, well, we want to win the championship, we want to do this, we want to do that. And he goes, I'll be straight up with you. This is going to sound like a very selfish goal, but my goal is to have my contract picked up by a team that I'm shooting for, to be picked up by a Major League Baseball affiliated minor league team That's my goal. That's everybody's goal here, is to have their contract picked up. And it seems like a selfish goal, but in order for that to happen, they have to play well as a team. They've got to perform. They've got to do that. You have guys out there that are trying to get their contracts picked up. And unlike, so we had the Drakes play for a cup of coffee here for a couple of seasons. Now, they're an independent league, an independent, quote, professional baseball league. And the guys that are playing in the Pecos League, by and large, are folks that they just don't want to give up the dream. They were living close. They came and tried out, but they, I still want to be able to say that I'm playing pro ball. I still want to play. They have a passion for it. Now, luckily, we had teams here that had pretty good baseball. It was fun to watch them play, a great group of guys. But you look at the caliber of play and compare that to the Pioneer League. Last year, we had 2 guys on our ball club that were playing AAA baseball the year before. Guys that were playing AA. And they're in the Pioneer League, not because they don't have the talent, but because something, and by and large, it was something of circumstance that happened. They had an injury. They're recovering from an injury. They were dropped by the minor league team that they played for, but they're back to show I still have the skills and talent to do that. And Major League Baseball, or the minor league teams in the MLB, regularly pull from the Pecos League to fill their rosters. So you're seeing talent when you're out here that is still Major League caliber ball players.
So with that, I interviewed the pitching coach, Jerome. What was Jerome's last name? Williams. And I thought it was interesting because I immediately, there's things.
Who, by the way, is coaching for the Long Beach Coast.
The nerve of him.
Dang.
Can we boo a coach when he comes up?
Boo.
So anyway, I thought it was really interesting. It was really eye-opening because I said, so Jerome, if you've got a guy that's pitching a no-hitter, are you going to leave him in? Right? And he said, I have to watch their health. And I say that because you were talking about some players are here because they've had an injury and they're getting back up. And he said early in the season, probably not. He said, once I know where they're at, I know they can go the distance without being injured, then I'll do it.
Yeah.
So even the coaching and managing staff of the Pioneer League, they are watching out for these players because they know what's at stake with them.
Yes.
I talked to, and I can't remember his name. Anyway, he was saying that they will move a player to another team if it will benefit that player. So it is about winning. I don't want people to think, we don't want to win. We want the Freebirds to take it all this year, right? But we do want the players to make it. If Cuba Best, if he makes the majors, I'm thrilled for him, right? And it gets him out of the competition for us.
Well, you were mentioning that, and there was a ball player last year who he was playing for us, and he got stuck. He's got stuck behind in the depth chart a couple of players, and he just wasn't going to get the playing time here. And so they worked a trade, and I think they ended up sending him to a ball club up in Montana.
That's who I'm talking about. He said that's why they did that.
They said, look, we want to do right by you. You're going to be sitting here. You can go there. You can play every day. And if your goal is to get your contract picked up, why wouldn't you as a ball player say, yeah, I'll take that trade? And he did, and he ended up starting, and he ended up going further in the playoffs than our ball club did. And he did very well.
Well, I also want to mention this. So initially, I went over and they had me interview all the players. Just real quick interview, where are you from? What position do you play? And when I got to the 5th catcher, I was like, how can you have that many? Because what it is when they first do the tryouts and they first bring them in spring training and that, they have to they're competing for that slot, right? And so, it's just great baseball. Can't wait for it. I'm excited. Listen, with this show, we're going to be able to I did talk to a player and some coaches. We're going to get them on here so that not just baseball, but just sports. And so if one of the teams, and you'd like to see them come on and sit with Todd and talk about what it's like to play in high school baseball and how competitive it really is, and the differences that it makes to families, coaches, families, fans. We've got some people that they are fans of local sports. Todd was reading the stats. They would tell him if he was off, right?
They would.
They're that kind of fan.
I'm pretty certain I'm going to get some emails.
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
you know.
That could happen.
But, so that's going to do it for us here today on our weekend sports update show. We went over the baseball here. We're going to be picking it back up next week, and with more baseball, and we'll bring you updates from the Freebirds. Again, looking for host families. If you're interested, you can reach out to Harrison Shapiro, Harrison at freebirdsbaseball.com. But I believe you can also reach the team at info@freebirdsbaseball.com. If you are interested in being a host family, I recommend that you go over to freebirdsbaseball.com, navigate through the tabs, get over to if you get to the general information tab on their website and then come down to be a host family, you can get information there, and they'll be happy to have a representative speak with you. So for Bob Fischetti, I'm Todd Kuhnen, and Mason off there in no man's land behind the board, keeping us all set up. I'm Todd Kuhnen. Thanks for joining us, and we'll be back next week.